Hi, my name's Shannon, and the point of this video is to teach you everything you need to know about cloth diapering to do so successfully and to spend less in the process. A little bit about me. I am a full-time working mom. I'm a doctor for the Air Force, and I've been cloth diapering my son now for a little over a year. I've had some trials and it's taken some trial and error, so hopefully that will be to your benefit. I understand that the length of this video seems excessive, but that's so that everything's complete and you're not jumping from video to get all the topics you're interested in. If there are things that you're like, I don't need to know about this, go ahead and refer to the table of contents below in the video description and skip ahead to the sections that do pertain to you. So let's get started. Why bother with cloth diapering? You know, people look at me, they're like, you cloth diaper? That's crazy, you know. Dealing with pins and rubber pants is not what cloth diapering is about anymore. So it's surprisingly easy. Like I said, it does take a little bit of trial and error, but hopefully the pointers in this video will help you skip the error part of the trial. So, cloth diapering is actually eco-friendly, or can be. My sister was concerned when she started, like, oh, you know, I'll need a service to wash them, and it's gonna take too much gas. Oh, it's gonna take too much water to wash them. Really doesn't. Wash every other day, especially if you have an HE machine and you line dry. It's particularly eco-friendly. It's good for your baby's skin. I was really surprised switching from disposables to cloth of how his bottom looked when I took the diaper off. With disposables, I'd take it off, I'd see red lines and marks from where the diaper was pressed against his skin, and with the cloth diapering, especially the ones that have a wicking layer, which I'll tell you about later, it looks almost as if he didn't have a diaper on at all. So it's reassuring as a mother to have a kid with nice skin. They're actually really cute. You know, if they're peeking out of the onesie and they match their outfit, it's kind of fun. It definitely looks better than a disposable, you know, plastic bag, tissue paper look. You know, personally, I think I see it as a luxury item. It's going to feel nicer to you, going to feel nicer to the baby, and they don't crackle the same way either. Another benefit is that you can support work-at-home moms. There are a number of stay-at-home moms that also make cloth diapers and sell them, so that's something you can look for. See Etsy or a lot of other cloth diapering sites for those. And the cost of it is great. So with disposables, you'll probably spend between $800 and $1,000 per kid per year for the entire time they're in diapers. For cloth diapering, you can spend between, you really only need to spend between $100 and $400 depending on the type of diaper you choose, one time for all your kids. And that's, I mean, depending on if you want to wash them every other day or whatnot as well. So that's just for the cost of the diapers. The cost of the wet bags, the ones I have were about $40 a piece. We'll be able to find them cheaper as well, or make your own if you wish. Aside from that, a little powdered detergent, and the amount you use is so small anyway that it actually doesn't end up costing much at all. So it's quite cheap. There's a lot of other financial benefits you can get from it. With cloth, you can sell them when you're done with them and get a good majority of your money back. So you can sell them on Craigslist, eBay, or other cloth diapering sites. If you are buying from those things, make sure you're asking, you know, how long were they used, how are you taking care of them, and it's not a bad idea also to set a ruler next to, have them take a picture of the diaper next to a ruler so you can see how stretched out the elastic is, if that's at the end of its life or not. And know that brand and how long they should be. So, you know, the Bum Genius we use, most of the time, they run 4.5 to 5 inches, so I know that's the right length. So you can also buy your diapers in bulk. The brands that are the cheapest, the Kauais, Alvas, and Sun Babies. Those ones have free shipping, but They take weeks, like 3-4 weeks to come in if you're buying them direct from the manufacturer. So a lot of people don't want to wait that long. So if you are in a cloth diapering group, you can buy a whole bunch of them and then sell them at a slightly higher price to people that want them right away. You can also rent out your stash, and to teach new moms about cloth diapering. So that's another thing you can do to make money. So how I do that, I actually don't rent mine. I'm just a cloth diaper advocate. So I say, hey, you want to try them? Here, borrow 12 of mine for a week with the detergent, give them the amount of detergent they need, so that I know that they're not going to ruin my diapers, and in a wet bag as well. Teach them what they need to know, and say, here's the 12 different ones. Here's what's different about them. Go ahead, that'll get you through a day, each day of the week, and that way you know which ones you like best. It's worked out great for us. If you have more questions about cloth diapering after this video is done, look for a local cloth diapering group. There's a different online forums. I'm a member of the Facebook Get Fluffed page, and hopefully you will learn a lot from this video. I'll go over the parts of a diaper with you. Every cloth diaper is going to have an absorbent part, if nothing else. So in a pre-fold, it's going to be the pre-fold. On the pocket diapers, it's going to be the inserts, which can be made of multiple different materials. The inserts that I use and the ones that come with most cloth diapers are microfiber. They come in bamboo, cotton, hemp. Sometimes they have charcoal in them to make them smell less. Not had an issue with these, so I'm going to keep with the cheap ones. Almost always you'll have a shell or cover to the diaper that's waterproof or water resistant. They're usually made of 2 different materials. It can be TPU or PUL. Either way, they're a fabric that's treated on the inside with rubberized or plasticized polymer that makes it water resistant or waterproof. The covers can also be wool. If you want to deal with wool, I'll have you look elsewhere on the internet because I don't know a whole lot about that. Also, fleece can be used, but those aren't near as waterproof. But they also work, especially if you want to make your own diapers. That's a good way to go. The lining of the cloth diaper, if there is one, is a fabric that is going to protect, it's going to be wicking material, so it'll pull water through it without holding water. So it'll keep the baby from feeling wet, which is good and bad. It's good when they're when they're not potty training, because they don't feel wet all the time. They don't have the wetness against their body to create the rashes. But when it comes time to potty train, by all means take the inserts out if that's what you're using, and have that against their skin so they know right away when they're wet. It can be a microfleece, a suede polyester. Those are the most common that I've seen for that. Then they will, if it's a pocket diaper, it's going to have an opening for where you stuff them, which can be in the front or the back. Then the insert stopper at the front is not on all diapers, but that way if the diaper folds out a little bit, it's not leaking onto the child. Or if you have your insert stuffed way to the end, then it also protects against that. There's a couple different kinds of closures. There are Velcro closures, and snap closures are the most frequent, although snappies are used for pre-folds now instead of safety pins. So Velcro versus snaps. So a lot of people like the snaps because they're more durable, although they can technically pull through the fabric, but they're very durable, so they'll last the entire life of the diaper. You will be doing up 4 to 6 of them per change, so it does take a while, and as your baby gets older and more wiggly, you will have to wrangle them more for that. However, if your baby likes to run around in just their diaper without having something over their bottom in addition to it, it's much more difficult for them to take it off. So it's safer if you don't want to have a mess around your house. We pretty much keep pants on our baby, so Velcro works great for us. It's much easier to deal with. It's just snap, snap, just like a disposable. So I do recommend having at least a couple that are Velcro, so that if your kid goes to a daycare or if you have a babysitter, they're not going to be so frustrated with trying to hold your child down for the process of doing up those snaps. If you have Velcro, so that all your diapers don't get stuck together in the wash, there will be a laundry tab that you fold it against completely before it goes in the wash. That's the parts of a diaper. When you're ordering diapers, if you plan to wash your diapers every day, you're going to need about 15. If you're going to wash them about every other day, it's going to take 25 or so. So you need to have enough that's going to last them for those 2 days, or the day plus the time that it's going to take to wash and dry, plus a couple extras just in case, or if your schedule gets shifted and you can't get them in right away. So when your diapers come in the mail, they're called fluff mail, so you'll see that online quite a bit. So first things you need to do before you start using them is prep the inserts, if you want, or the absorbent part. If it's a natural fiber that you're using, you'll need to either boil them for 20 minutes or so on the stove and then dry them, or put them through the hot wash about 6 times, drying in between on high heat. But otherwise, microfiber ones, I just toss them in, one time through the wash ahead of time, and they work just fine. So you get your cover. You're gonna make sure your cover is sized down to fit your child before you stuff it. So snaps on the front with the rise are for that. Start small, work bigger. And fuzzy buns are going to have an elastic on the inside. You'll see that in that section of the video, how it's significantly different. So that will change the size of the diaper. Then if you have decided to go with one of the cheaper brands and you find that you're having some leaks around the edges, you may need to stick the covers in the dryer on high for about 20 minutes. That will seal holes that were made from the needles in the manufacturing process. So everything's ready, everything's dry, size to your baby. Stuffing the diapers. They come with, most of them come with 2 different inserts, but that really varies by brand. So initially, we just needed to use one. After that, the larger, and then now we stack them together. So I'll show you how to do that, because a lot of the inserts have snaps on them. You don't actually have to snap the snap together itself. That adds one more step for you to do here, and then when you're going to wash them. So just fold it down to where they meet up. It'll stay in place in your diaper, don't worry about that. And then place the other one on top. I like having all the lines on the inside so you don't see the lines on their clothes, and there's nothing line-wise that ends up going on against their body. So lay the cover or shell on your knee. Stuff your hand inside toward the end. Grab it with the other hand, and as you're pulling the hand that's inside out, flatten it out and tuck the end over so everything's nice and contained. It takes approximately 20 seconds to get one diaper from through that process. So plan on 10 minutes every other day for stuffing. It's kind of relaxing to do as well. So nice break from your day when you actually get to sit down. Some people will then undo all these, fold everything together, but every time, if you're using Velcro, every time you pull those off, you're taking away from the life of the Velcro. So leave those against those laundry tabs until you're about to use it. I store mine flat, they stack nicely that way, but it's up to you how you want to do that. So after that, you're ready to use your diaper. The 4 main types of cloth diapers that are used today are pre-folds, hybrids, all-in-ones, and pockets. I'm going to go through a few samples from each of those to show you what the differences are, pros and cons, and give you a general idea of price so you can have an idea where to start. So pre-folds have been around forever. The absorbent part just gets laid inside the diaper. So this is a pre-fold which is already brought down to a reasonable amount of size. They also used to use muslins, which think of like an 8-in-1 mesh blanket folded into multiple triangles. So anyway, multiple ways to fold these as well. So that gets laid inside the diaper or wrapped around the baby. go online to look at different ways to fold those if you're interested in using this method. There's Chinese and Indian. This one is a hemp or cotton one, which is significantly more expensive. These run about $8 a piece, whereas the other ones are about $2 a piece. And these ones are much thinner, however, and will take longer to dry. But it's nice to have thin ones that actually absorb a lot of moisture. You can also combine the lining that I talked about with the absorbent part. So I have ones that have the microfleece actually sewn into them. And that will just go on the baby, and then the cover is placed over it. One of the things that makes this significantly cheaper is that the cover doesn't get dirty every time, so if it's not dirty, you can just change out the the lining, and save yourself a lot of washing and money. The covers themselves run about $12 a piece. Again, both forms of fasteners are available. These are both Thirsty's brand. Another brand that I have seen that is quite economical is called Econo Bum. Go figure. It's about $100 to start with them. That kit on cottonbabies.com includes 6 covers, 24 pre-folds, as well as 2 wet bags. So even if in the end you decide you don't like the pre-folds, you can sell your covers to get your money back, use the pre-folds for burp cloths or rags around the house, and then you have your 2 wet bags. So that's a very reasonable option. What I don't like about pre-folds is the fact that once the fabric is folded, it often leaves a crease against the baby where it hits their skin, especially because there's nothing to protect them against the wetness. So they're going to feel wet every time. I did find that they fit much earlier than anything else that I had purchased, however. The next thing I'm going to go over is the hybrids. I have 2 here. They're quite different. The flip system is actually quite a bit like the pre-folds. So it's just the cover and then a liner. This liner is the Stay Dry liner. They also have an organic liner and a disposable liner. So with this one, you flip down to whatever size your baby is after you've snapped up the front to adjust the size. Tuck it in the front, tuck it in the back. Sorry, that's actually upside down. And then put it on your baby. And then, same as before, all you have to do is change out this, assuming the cover hasn't been soiled. If the cover has been, rinse it off, hang it out to dry while you're put your inserts through the wash. The covers are about $13 and the inserts are about $5. Again, that's from the Cotton Babies website. And I know their organic ones are a little bit more expensive. They're about $6.50 a piece for the inserts. And the inserts do hold a lot of water. They're quite thick. This one I'm actually borrowing from a friend, and she uses them as her nighttime diapers. The other one I have that I wanted to try was the Incredibum. I wanted to try it because it was a little bit different. It had a snap-in absorbent part, but it doesn't have a lining that protects the baby from feeling wet. And so even though the inside of the diaper is fleece, it's not the area that's going to that would have been wet against their skin anyway. So this one, relatively expensive. I want to say it's about $17. The only one that I know of that has elastic in the front. There's an insane amount of snaps on this one, and they cross over each other. And then with these snapping the inside, I don't know if I mentioned or not, they're bamboo, mostly bamboo. They're very absorbent. I love them as inserts in my other diapers, but I do not use this one anymore because it does leave lines against his skin every time I'm diapering. And also something I noticed is that with the snaps in the back like this, you can see them through their onesie. So I've got pictures where I can see the 2 little dots, and I just don't like that. So all-in-ones are the next set. So this is a Thirsties brand all-in-one. It's about $15. No, I think they're $17 now. But these you end up having to buy 2 different sizes. But it's quite unusual. Oh, that's one other thing with the pre-folds too is you'll buy the first set and then often you'll have to get a second size of covers as well as a second size of the inserts. So with the Thirsties, there's room for the attached part to breathe, so it doesn't take as long to dry, because the all-in-ones take a really long time to dry compared to the others that I use. So it does have something to protect the baby against feeling wet, but you can't adjust the amount of absorbency here or where it's located. So if you have a boy and they're big enough where their snaps aren't pulled tighter in the front, where they're going to need the most protection, they don't necessarily get that protection. I could see this maybe working out better for a girl, but it was not the right choice for us. So there's that one. The Oh So Cozy, it's like having a pre-fold attached to the cover. These ones take the longest to dry of all of my diapers. So I don't use this anymore. There's no lining on the inside to protect them. But I did like that it was, that it fit quite early on and did have Velcro. So again, pros and cons to Velcro, I'll get to that in a minute. The Cotton Babies website also offers seconds, so I figured, which is essentially a not perfect version of their product. So I figured I'd try that, so I'd have a few pink diapers for my girl when she was little. So this is the Bum Genius newborn diaper. They run about $12, I think, but the $13. But the seconds version of them is $7.50, so that's why I thought I would try it, because I know they're not going to use them for very long. This one, there isn't an area for it to breathe between the two, but it's still, I hear they dry fast. Again, I haven't had my girl yet, so I don't know. I haven't tried it on a little baby just yet. But there's no pocket, so there's no stuffing involved. It's just like using a disposable, except you have to clean out the poop. Then the last one that I'm going to talk about is the Bum Genius Free Time. This is the most expensive diaper that I have. It runs about $20 on Amazon. This is relatively unusual. It has 2 separate flaps. They both have the microfiber on the inside with the suede polyester to protect the baby from feeling wet. And you can adjust how they're folded. So if you want, have your boy and you want more protection up front, you can fold it in that direction. I'm not a fan. I'm definitely not a fan of this one. If they poop, it's a mess to take to get it cleaned out, because now you have this surface, here, and possibly the inside. It could be 5 different areas that you have to clean. Even rinsing them, I feel like it's just significantly more awkward. Also, if they slip at all, or say, Dad's putting them on and he's not quite as proficient, or you have a babysitter that's doing it and they're peeking out the outside a little bit, then you'll end up leaking toward the outside. So it's hard to kind of keep these in place, and they actually move when you're stretching it to fit it over the front of the baby. It'll change how you had them placed initially. So that's the Bum Genius Free Time. Now I'll go over several pocket diapers. There's the ones that are easy to find on Amazon, and then there are a handful of others that are much more economical but work very well, and I have a lot of friends that love them as well. So the standard ones, we'll do those first. One of the most popular is Bum Genius. They come in snaps or Velcro, which is definitely a plus to have the choice. Snaps are great because they hold up for longer, and if your baby runs around without without pants over top of their diaper frequently, then snaps are much more difficult for a baby to take off on their own. They can, however, rip out of the material. I know that can happen for sure. Then Velcro, on the other hand, much faster to put on. You're not snapping up 4 to 6 snaps every time, so it's the same ease as putting on a disposable diaper. So very easy. However, it wears out faster, and I mean, if I put pants on my baby all the time, so the problem with having him take it off is not an issue. So, the micro-suede inside, and it comes with 2 inserts, a large one and a small one. Quite a big difference in the size here. The small one's significantly thinner as well. They have snaps on them. I found that it's unnecessary to actually do up the snaps. Just fold it to the level where the snaps are, and then stuff. You can do, 1, 2, or both. I'm sorry, 1 or both of those options. We're at the point after just under a year where we do use both at the same time. Next is the O'Kadies. So it's just a little bit more unusual, so I thought I'd try this brand as well. O'Kadies come with 2 inserts, a large and a small. And the large one has the snaps like the other does, but there's twice as many, not worth doing. The small one is the same thing, just a little bit smaller size. These inserts are thinner than the Bum Genius ones. The pocket to stuff them is actually in the front, so that's good if you have an aversion to digging through poop in the back. However, if you don't, it's more likely that they're going to be wet in the front if you're grabbing from that side as well. That it's got a fleece lining instead of a micro suede, and that one is TPU on the outside. It's very soft on the inside and very smooth. It's the easiest one I have to stuff, just because everything slides right in, and the insert doesn't actually get stuck on a rubbery feeling inside. It does also have a lot of snaps, but it's reasonable, and they come in really good colors. So that's what I like about O'Kadies. They're more expensive as well too, about $18. And the Bum Genius is about $18 as well. You can also get them as seconds for $11. You can also often find buy 5 get 1 free sales. Fuzzy Buns is another brand that is very popular. There is the Fuzzy Buns One Size Elite, which I'm going to show you 2 of them here to show you the size difference. So these ones, when I got them in the mail, I thought were the best diaper in the world. I changed my mind later when I realized he grew out of them completely by the time he was 20 pounds. And he's not a fat baby. So what I do like about them is that they do size down to an absolute newborn size and do go to 20 pounds at least. And that is, most of the others you saw had snaps in the front that you could change the rise of. These ones have elastic on the inside that has holes along it, and then buttons, so you can change the level, how long the elastic is. You can also change out the elastic much more easily. It's still very difficult, but you can do it. And they come with the second set of elastic, so they can last longer. So that's along the edges as well as the back, so I thought that was a fabulous design idea. They just don't go big enough. And then the pocket in the back doesn't have another cover that comes down low enough, so if you do use these ones, know that you will have to tuck your insert in, and with this over top of it, and ensure that the cover is over the top, so there's none out the back. If there's any of the absorbent part coming out the back, it's going to leak onto their clothes. This elastic is also adjustable. So there's that, and then I also really liked their inserts initially, and then changed my mind on that as well. Another thing that I loved about these was that they were very narrow in the crotch. I didn't want my baby to have a whole bunch of the bulkiness there. But it turns out that a narrow crotch also means that they are much more difficult to stuff. I have very small hands, and it still is hard to get a couple inserts in there at once. And if there's not as much insert, there's not as much absorbency. So these got dropped down off my list, of course, after I bought several of them. So then the inserts themselves, I showed you earlier in the video, are the Minky inserts. So it's like one of those really soft blankets, but they're not touching the baby at all, so it really doesn't matter that they're so soft. They come with 2 inserts, a small and a large, and they're not really that much different in size. So could be better. So the fully expanded size is just as big as their perfect size brand small. So I'm not sure how they got the idea that they're going to last up to 35 pounds, because they're not. So there's those. The perfect size, there's a couple little differences in there. The elastic is not adjustable at all, and it only has 4 snaps, so they're much easier to deal with on the babies. So next is the economy ones. This is an Alva diaper. You can look that up on the internet, and they have a fabulous selection of different patterns and solids, just a lot of variety you can choose for the covers. Same with the Sun Babies, we'll get to those in a minute. So they have that suede inner. They do not have an insert stopper. So that's something else I should tell you about real quick. So if you stuff your diapers and they stuff all the way to the end, and at any point the inside is coming out, that will allow the baby to leak onto their clothes. So sometimes they'll carry whatever the fabric is on the outside into a strip on the inside, and that helps prevent that problem. So they come with one insert, and they are about $4.50 a piece if you buy several of them at a time. So that's a really, really good deal. $4.50 a piece. It's very cheap. Similarly, there's Sun Babies, which instead of that micro suede have fleece liner. They do have that stop on the front, and you can choose the type of insert you want with them. You can choose between microfiber, blend, or bamboo. And the number as well, so you can either get 1 or 2 with them and change the price accordingly. So these run $5 a piece, so you have to buy them in groups. So 12 for $60 with one microfiber insert, or of course, get your entire 2-day stash, 24 diapers for $120, and you are set. They have, like I said, fabulous prints as well, so take a look at their website. They come in 2 different sizes. You really will only end up needing to buy one of the sizes. They're not that much different. The brand that my husband and I really love is the Kawais. They are significantly bigger than any of the other ones that I have. The Bum Geniuses run relatively big, and these do too. Bum Geniuses I couldn't start using until my baby was about 9-10 pounds, but they still definitely fit fine. And the Kawais, yeah, a little bit longer after that. But they're the only cheap brand that I found that actually has the option for Velcro. So, but you can get them in snaps as well. They've got very cute prints. This one's actually, I'm showing you on top because it's a minky cover, so it's a very soft cover and pretty stinking cute in addition to that. So these ones have that stop. They have the where the opening is, everything gets tucked inside with a flap. And Kawais come with 2 inserts. They run about $7.50 a piece. I've seen them from anywhere from 7 to 12. That's something I'll show you on the Sun Babies real quick too. Is the flap that covers the opening is quite ruffly, so it's almost like there's too much fabric there, and a lot of times it will get stuck out, which isn't that big of a deal, but something to know. And and the elbows are very smooth in the back. So the quads that I use a lot are the HD2s. They have another version of the Velcro one that's very, very similar to the Bum Genius. Has the same style of Velcro with just that one little flap that comes across. But with that one, the part that it's stuck to, the one that I have anyway, it's really high to the top, and I find that if it rolls in at all, the top edge of the Velcro will rub against my son's belly and leave a red line, which I don't like, but he doesn't seem to mind. The Velcro on these is very strong, it's quite large, so there's not too much of an issue with him pulling it off. I don't like that they look different on either side, especially because most of them are dark. These do not come in many colors. I think there's 6 or 7 colors available, and that's if they're available on whatever website you're finding. It's hard to find them. But I do love the HD2s. I mean, $7.50 for a pocket diaper that has Velcro, 2 inserts, it's pretty hard to beat. So, and they're full-size inserts as well, the microfiber ones. So that is my stash. For most people, the most intimidating part of starting cloth diapering is dealing with pee in the poop. It's really not that hard, and it's really not near as gross as most of us have in mind that it's going to be. So I'll start by going over how to deal with pee. It's very simple. So first of all, if you're using diapers that have Velcro, attach the Velcro to the laundry tabs so you don't forget to do that later and end up with a diaper chain. So after that, separate the inserts, if that's the type you're using, from the cover. And you can go set everything right in the wet bag from there. Or you can rinse them out ahead of time. So the first step is going to be to rinse with cold water, whether it be by hand in a utility sink or as a first run of your washer before you start actually washing them. So the benefit to doing that in the washer is you can do them all at once. It's a time saver. It probably saves water as well. But if you do it by hand, then you don't have any urine drying in the diapers. You don't have your room smelling like it, assuming you don't have a covered diaper bag, so your room smells less. So if you want to do it by hand, just rinse it out like you would rinse out a washcloth. So I'm just going to do that real quick right now. And then if the diaper was really saturated, sometimes I'll rinse the cover too, but that's not necessary either. And from there, straight to the wet bag. So, teaching you a little bit about wet bags while I wash my hands here. Wet bags run about $40. I've seen them for less, but the ones that I have were about that much. The ones I use are by Planet Wise. It's a waterproof liner with just a cloth covering on the outside. This one holds about 2 days worth of diapers. I have 2 of them so I can rotate them in the wash, and because you can wash them along with your diapers and not have to touch anything. It's awesome. Or you can get a diaper pail liner. So just get a step can like you would for trash. This one's by Simple Human. It's nice and thin. That way you don't have to, your hands are free, you're not getting any extra germs around that you don't want to. And the diaper pail liner, same thing, it's got that PUL lined bag, and again you can have 2 of them, so you're rotating them with the wash, and they get quite clean from that. The nice thing about this one is it actually has a lock on it, so I just snap that in here and no kids or dogs or whatever can get into this. So when it's time to do the wash, you can take everything out separately if you want to, but the easy way to do it, toss the entire bag in, shake it empty, and then make sure the bag itself is turned inside out. And you can place that right in the wash with it. So when you're adding your detergent, you're going to use a powdered detergent. There's plenty of cloth diapering detergents on the market. If you don't want to use those, you can use Tide powder. I use Bum Genius detergent because I like it and it works great. I've had no problems, so why change? Rocking Green is another great company to use as well. It's a very small amount that you use. It will tell you how much to use. Don't be tempted to use more than that, even though you feel like, oh, but they need more. No, they don't. Just follow the directions, or else you'll end up with buildup. So, Bum Genius also recommends once a month using a 1/4 cup bleach. Use less than that if you have a high efficiency washer. Not required, just something you can do if you want to. If you're having problems with smells, you can also try tea tree oil or RLR. I'll talk about that in a different section as well. So, running your wash. You're going to run the wash after that first rinse, either by hand or in the wash, on either hot or warm. You want it quite hot, but not to the point where it's scalding and ruining your diapers. So if you have your hot water heater set really, really, really high, I would use warm. If it's reasonable, as it should be if you have small children in the house anyway, then just set it to hot and let it go. So a full wash with that, rinse with cold, and then do a second rinse also with cold. So that's the basics of it. Everybody's routine for washing is going to be different. It's going to vary based on which detergent you're using, which diapers you have, what type of water you have, what type of washing machines you have. You'll find out what works for you, but that's a basic routine for it. You can even find specific protocols for different washing machines online for, oh, if you have this type, you follow these specific instructions. So when they're done in the wash, you have to dry them. So a couple things with that. If you put your PUL covers in the dryer on high, they're going to get destroyed. Also, anything that has elastic in the elastic's going to break down over time on the high heat. So if you want to dry your covers, do those on lower medium. If I'm not drying them on the line and doing them in the dryer instead, I'll put them in for 20 minutes or so on low, maybe medium. Sometimes I just lay them out on the bed. That works fine for me too. But the inserts themselves, you can line dry or put them in there on high and they will fluff up quite nicely. Hopefully this segment will ease your mind a bit about dealing with the poop factor involved with cloth diapers. So during the first few months, or as long as you're breastfeeding for, if you're doing that, the poop is particularly easy to take care of. You technically don't have to wash it out of the diapers, but I recommend doing so it's not sitting on your diapers in your room, smelling it up for days, and also that way they're not getting, your washer doesn't have to work as hard to get that first layer out. But they will come clean. The easy alternative is to just go to a tub or a utility sink and turn the water on, rub it against itself underneath the running water, and it'll just run right off and down the drain. You don't have to worry about it anymore. As stools change over time, that won't be the case anymore. So once they're done breastfeeding, you can't do that. So if it's a formed stool, it's particularly easy. That is, open toilet, plop into toilet, flush, and it's done. The in-between stools, the ones that are not breast milk, but not quite so formed and easy to take care of, you can just grab some toilet paper, kind of wipe it off, and put it in and flush. Wash the rest out, again in a tub or utility sink to get it a little bit cleaner before you put it in your wet bag or whatever you're using for a storage pail. There is something on the market called a diaper sprayer. You can also use a bidet attachment. Those are generally cheaper and essentially the same thing. So those are going to run, both of those are going to run between $20 and $40, I believe, and can make the job easier. So they take about 5 minutes to put onto your toilet. It's nothing that's difficult at all. They'll have a spot where there's a lever at the bottom that you would turn on to get the water flowing. And then an attachment that hooks onto the toilet, which I keep it on that side to keep it out of reach of my kid a little bit better. And these things are pressure washers, so beware that there will be a strong amount of water that comes out of it. So again, have the lid of your toilet up. You can take the inserts out ahead of time to keep things from getting as soggy. You can leave them in too. It really doesn't matter. Find out which one works for you. Curl it inside out is probably the easiest way. Hold it really, really, really close to the water and spray. Be very ginger about using the trigger because that it sprays more than you expect it to the first time. So you can spray it off that way. You can also hold it from the side, again, down in the bowl as far as you can without getting it actually in the water. I'm holding it up high for the video so you can actually see what I'm doing. And just spray it off and it will be much easier to take care of that way. You can also use a device I've seen, I don't own one yet, I don't know if I'm going to, but they're pretty cool. It's called the Spray Pal. It is a piece of plastic that kind of folds out into a half cylinder that you actually clip your diaper to. Hold that here and you can spray all you want and it catches the splatter so it's not a mess. Makes using the diaper sprayer much more convenient. I think there's a video for that on YouTube as well. And then when you're done, you hang up your sprayer, undo the snaps on it, and you can actually squeeze out the extra water, carry it straight to your wet pail, and release it there without having to touch poop at all for this whole time. So it's really not that bad. You can do it. If you're still not comfortable with the idea of taking care of poop with cloth diapers, you can also use liners. There's cloth diaper liner disposable ones that you can get on rolls online, and just set that in the inside, and then when your baby's pooped, you can just pick that up, and if it's flushable, toss it in the toilet, get rid of it, you don't have to worry about it at all. You can make your own with a half sheet of Viva paper towel. Just lay it on there, and if they peed, toss it. If they pooped, toss it too. However, with those, that's going to be against their skin, and so if it gets wet, they're going to feel it again, and it takes away a lot of the advantages of having that wicking layer in your diapers. There's also reusable liners. I have flannel ones that I didn't know better when I got them, but they still work if I wanted to use them for this. I use them mostly for barriers if I have to use a zinc oxide cream temporarily. But those you can set inside the diaper, and again, if it's just pee, it gets washed. If it's poop, okay, now you can just clean that off instead. But the idea that I like much better is get your own wicking fabric. So a microfiber, you can find that online. I hear Hobby Lobby carries it, any fabric store of course. Although I hear it's also not generally sold with the normal fleece, it's in a separate section. So just beware of that. But you can get a couple yards, cut it down to the right amount of space that you want to cover. Then if they've peed, you can put it in the wash, reuse it. They're still going to feel dry between wettings with that as well. And if they pooped and you don't want to deal with it, you can throw that in the trash and you're out just a couple cents, and it's really not a big deal at all. Line drying is going to be the best way to dry your cloth diapers. The UV light actually kills the bacteria, which is fantastic. If there's any left after washing, there shouldn't be, but nonetheless, it makes you feel good about it. And the sunlight actually bleaches any stains too that are left from poop, put it bluntly. So, I have a very basic line that I've made. I'll show you how to make it in just a second. But when you're drying them, I recommend lining your diapers up so that the insides are facing the sun, so that they do have the benefits of the UV light. You can line dry anytime that it's sunny or windy. So as long as it's above 45 or 50 degrees, it's fine. It doesn't have to be super hot. You just leave them out for longer. It's no big deal at all. When I dry mine, I like to top over the edge and clip it that way. If you want to have the pocket at the top, make sure pinning it closed so that you're not asking bugs to come in. Additionally, you don't have to have them completely separated by each other. I only do one at the top, and I overlap the edges so that I can fit more on the line. I have a few different kinds of pins that I want to talk about. Of plastic and wood ones. The plastic ones, I like the idea because my older wood ones were getting beat up and I had some weather wear, but they have a really nice action on them. These ones are from Michaels, these are from Target. They're very strong. The plastic ones aren't as strong, even the ones that got the best reviews on Amazon, but they also slide along the line more. So that, in addition to the fact that there's a more cavity inside of it for the bugs to get in and make their little nests, versus the wood ones, which are a solid piece there, I prefer the wood ones. And when you're hanging up your inserts, doesn't matter which side's out, but if you pin them directly to the line, again with the, also both ways here, wood versus the plastic. See, the plastic ones, they slide, so if it's a really windy day, I'll come out and they'll be bunched up. So the wood ones, they're pretty solid there. So that's just my tips on that. So next, how to make a line. Okay, so if you don't already have a clothesline in your yard, a very easy way to make one is to buy a parachute line, 550 cord. Again, you can get it on Amazon, like everything else, and tie it diagonally across your fence if you have a fence in your backyard. I have two, and they're separated by about 2 feet. So I have it tied very snugly to one side, pulled it across, and snugged it up over there as well too. There's your line, plus clothespins are under $10. I did that on both corners of my yard, so I've got a lot of space. There's a lot of options for drying like that. You can have the collapsible lines that are commercially made, the retractable ones. You can just lay your diaper covers out on a bed while you, or bed counter, whatever, or even use clothes hangers while you just put the inserts in the dryer and on high. The use of the usual zinc oxide and petroleum-based creams that you would use for diaper rashes are not safe to use with cloth diapers, not because it's actually unsafe for your baby, but because it will destroy your cloth diaper's ability to absorb water. So, and then you'll have lots of leaks. So what you can use instead is straight up coconut oil. I use Living Foods, it works great. Mind you that coconut oil does have a melting point that's in the mid-70s, so depending on the temperature of your house at the time, it can either be solid or liquid. I just generally scrape it out with the back of my fingernails and use that, so it's easy enough to get to. You can also mix it with lanolin, which is also safe for cloth diapers, and that will keep it a more easy to use consistency. You can also use multiple commercially available cloth diaper specific creams. You'll find these at cloth diaper websites. CJ's Butter is one that I know of and have heard great things about, so you can look for that. If you don't want to deal with using a different cream, or if your doctor's prescribed a specific one that you're like, well, I really want to use the one that he suggested, or she, you can switch back to disposables for the time that you're using it. You can also just use a different liner that you can toss afterward, just to protect the vast majority of the surface area of your diapers. So the other thing that troubleshooting wise I want to cover is leaks. So there's a lot of different things that can cause leaks. I don't find that cloth diapers leak any more than disposables do. I think, you know, if you use them right, you can actually get less leaks out of them. So first suggestion is please don't start, especially as a first-time mom, trying to use cloth diapers from day one. If you start that early, baby's pooping all the time, so you have a lot of mess, you're tired and exhausted on top of that, and the diapers rarely fit when they're that small unless they're newborn size. So if they don't fit right, you're going to have leaks, you're going to get frustrated, and you'll probably not continue with cloth diapering as you were hoping you would. So I'd say wait 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how skinny your baby's legs are. Once their legs are big enough that the elastic on the diaper can actually snug up around their legs appropriately, and you feel like your sanity has somewhat returned, go for it. It really is a great option. So, some other things you can have that will cause leaks are wing droop, which, so when you put the diaper together, you put all the snaps together here. However, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't have time for all 6 of those snaps. I'll just do those 2 that I need and that'll hold it on. If you skip the leg snaps or don't have that front panel kind of pulled up a little bit above the layer, then this part will sag down here and you'll have an open spot around the leg. So you have to make sure that the leg holes are actually tight enough around there. So if you can't get a good enough fit that way, your elastic may be too large and that may need to be replaced after it's been used for a good amount of time, years, or if you've been drying on high for more than you should be. And I'll throw in at the end of the video how to change those real quick. You can change the rise, so if they're always leaking out the top, you may need to go up 1 step higher, or so it's larger. Or if you just can't get that leg to snug up enough to, maybe you need to come down, snap it down lower so that it can actually get a better seal there. Of course, you can just change the baby more frequently. You may not be used to how it feels the same way as you would with a disposable diaper. Disposable diapers feel nice and squishy when they're wet on the outside. It's that, or they'll have that stripe that you know, color change wise, oh hey, it's time now. These obviously you can't have that with, so just be more cognizant of when it's time to change the baby. There's a lot of things that can cause leaks with the inserts themselves, or the absorbent part. If the pre-fold or whatever part of the diaper is absorbent is sticking out of the diaper in any direction, it will wick onto what they're wearing. So you'll have some leaks there. So it can be the sides, the front, or the back. If you end up getting buildup on your inserts from detergent, using too much or the wrong one or whatever else, they may need to be, you may need to put them through a process called stripping. So that's just a thing you're going to do before you, or in addition to washing them, that gets all the extra buildup out of them that you can. So this can be done with Blue Dawn, boiling them, and with the Blue Dawn, just use a little bit, wash them by hand, toss them in your washer with no detergent, and rinse, rinse, rinse until there are no more suds. RLR is another thing you can find that really pulls out the impurities in them. You can find that online sometimes. I hear co-ops have them a lot. So some people have great success with it, some people have no success with it. Rock and Green makes a product called Funk Rock, which also gets that out. So stripping is something you can also do when you're, if you notice that your inserts are starting to smell funky. So you can try all those things, or also before you sell them. It's a very polite thing to do. So it may be time to add more inserts. So you can stack them quite thick as long as your baby's not looking too ridiculous in them. More inserts means less time between changing, which is pretty nice to do. The type of insert may not be the right thing for you and your family. Like I said, we generally use microfiber ones, but they come in all different types, and maybe bamboo is the right answer for your family. So you can try a few different types of inserts. And then something else that I wouldn't have realized is that if they're the clothes that they're wearing are causing the leaks. So if their onesie's too small and it's riding up into and curling inside the leg hole, it's going to wick and you're going to have a leak there. We rarely have leaks at night, but the ones that we have had have been when he's wearing, when he's got separate bottoms and tops, and the elastic on the waist gets inside the top of the diaper. So the last thing with the leg holes, to know if they're going to be tight enough, make sure you pull the baby's knees up towards their chest And if you still have a good seal at that point, then the fit is it should be right. This last segment is going to cover how to change the elastic so that you can get more life out of your diapers if the elastic starts to go bad. This is one I got on Craigslist over a year ago, so it had been used for who knows how long. I didn't ask the question at the time. You can see there's hardly any stretch left to it now. So before the next baby comes and I'm going to use these again, I would like to have that replaced. So first, seam ripper, find where the end of it is. Take out a couple stitches that are holding on to where the elastic is going through. So what I like to do is make a small hole in the spot where the elastic is going to be at. With my the other ones I just replaced a whole bunch from Bum Genius, and they're sewed down oddly. So what I would just do is pull out the elastic and cut it instead of actually ripping the seam that's running through it. This one is very simple. It's a Fuzzy Buns, in case you were wondering. The old kind, before they had the easy to replace elastic. So since that only has one line of stitches through it anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and take that out myself there. So, oh, it's actually sewed on the top there, so I'll just go ahead and cut it anyway, because I was going to show you this is the 90% solution. It's not the make it look absolutely perfect, it's just I want to get this done quick so I can move on with life and take care of my baby, because we're busy moms, right? So, cut it there, make sure you don't lose it. Then, take your new elastic, and you can either do a double knot there together. Just make sure it's not going to come apart when you're pulling it through. I feel better about safety pinning, so I use a very small safety pin, just the size bigger than the little gold ones, and have it so that they're lined up and pinned together, with the small end going that would be pulled through first. Next, you come to the other side and open it up. I opened this one up mostly beforehand so that it would be shorter on the video. And at that point, I usually use my seam ripper to grab and pull it out there so I can make the smallest hole possible. Start pulling on that elastic, on the old elastic, and feed the safety pin in the other side, and help it come out the other side. So once that's through, you can remove the safety pin, pull it through a little more, you don't want to lose that, and cut off the old elastic on the other side, or finish taking it off with your seam ripper if you have a few more minutes to do that. Okay, so very carefully slide that back. It's better to have too much and cut it off later than to pull it through and then have to feed it through again. So it's much harder the second time. So now the elastic's tucked up where it needs to go. I'm just gonna tack it down here with my sewing machine. You can do it by hand if you don't have a sewing machine. So simply find where it is, drop the needle, it's threaded, good, okay, and go over it a few times. So we know it's going to stay in place for sure. Actually, go back one more time, a little bit more. Fix it in the middle. Okay, needle up. And just cut off your extra strings there, of course. Okay, put it stick down on one side. Should be able to pull the other side and make it tighter. And you'd have it measured ahead of time on how long you want to make it. So I would, my other ones it's always 4.5 to 5 inches, so I'll keep this one about the same, a little smaller because it's a small diaper. So that's a good amount of stretch to have there. Tuck the elastic inside again. It's much better than before. It. So just cut off the threads, cut off the extra elastic on both ends. And I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's not terribly difficult either, and that will definitely get some more life out of your diapers and add to the resale of them if you need to resell them later.